You didn't stumble upon this by accident. You didn't scroll your way here. Something quieter brought you. This isn't the kind of video that goes viral. It doesn't shout for attention. It waits until the frequency is right. Some call it coincidence. Others call it alignment. But you know the feeling, the sudden stillness, the sense that something just for a moment is speaking directly to you. That's this moment. There are frequencies not measured by science yet. Vibrational signatures that live in the body, shape our experiences, echo through our emotions. And sometimes, healing begins not by adding something new, but by finally tuning in. Vibrational healing isn't a technique. It's not even a belief. It's a return, a subtle remembering that the body isn't just flesh. It's energy. And that energy, when distorted, sends the same signals again and again until one day you listen. So if anything inside you stirred, paused, or softened just now, keep going, not because you have to, but because something in you already has. You've probably asked yourself this more than once. Why does my life feel like a loop I can't escape from? Different faces, different years, but the same kind of heartbreak, the same financial roller coaster, the same inner restlessness that creeps back just when you thought you were finally okay. And the worst part? You've tried, you've journaled, you've meditated. You've read all the books, made all the vision boards, told yourself this time would be different. But then something happens, a subtle pull, a familiar breakdown, a relapse into the same version of you swore you left behind. What if I told you it's not your fault? What if the reason you keep repeating life patterns isn't because of a lack of discipline, but because of an energetic imprint quietly looping beneath your awareness? You see, modern science is beginning to confirm what ancient teachings have long whispered. We don't just remember experiences, we vibrate them. Every emotion, especially the unresolved ones, leaves a frequency in our energy field. And unless that frequency is consciously transformed, it becomes the silent architect of our reality. Think of it like this. Your body is not just flesh and bone, it's a field of organized vibration. That field holds on to what felt overwhelming, what was never fully processed, what was too painful to integrate. And without realizing it, you keep attracting situations that match that vibration not because you want to, but because your field is still broadcasting the same signal. This is what scientists and vibrational healers call the memory frequency. It's like ripples in a pond after the stone has already sunk. The stone may be gone, but the water remembers. And so does your energy. That's why trying to think your way out doesn't work. You can reframe thoughts all day, but if your frequency still hums with abandonment, betrayal, or unworthiness, the loop continues. This is not about blaming yourself. This is about seeing clearly. Because once you realize your subconscious isn't sabotaging you, it's protecting you by repeating what it knows, you can stop fighting yourself and start working with your field. And that's when things start to shift, not because you forced it, but because your vibration finally changed. Healing doesn't begin with answers. It begins with listening. And in that quiet listening, the loop loses its power. You're no longer a prisoner of your past patterns, you're the witness. The field starts to reorganize, and life, without force, begins to respond. Here's something that might completely shift how you think about your health. What if your illness didn't start in your body? What if the aches, the fatigue, the mysterious symptoms that no doctor can quite explain were actually the final echo of something deeper, something vibrational? We're taught to look at the body like a machine. If something breaks, you fix the part. But your body isn't just parts. It's a living field of energy, constantly shaped and reshaped by emotion, thought, and frequency. And frequency, not chemistry, is the blueprint. Energy medicine has been saying this for decades, and now even traditional research is catching up. Chronic stress, for example, has been shown to distort the body's natural electromagnetic field. That's not spiritual woo. That's measurable bioelectric disruption. In other words, when your inner world is out of alignment, your cells start to whisper it. And if the whisper isn't heard, they begin to scream. The ancient emerald tablets say it this way: the body is but a shadow of the vibration within. These weren't poetic metaphors. They were literal instructions for working with your own energetic architecture. Healing, from this view, isn't about suppressing symptoms, it's about restoring signal clarity. And then there's the placebo effect, a phenomenon so powerful it can outperform drugs in clinical trials. But what is it, really? Not a trick of the mind, but a ritualized shift in frequency. Belief triggers coherence. Coherence supports healing. Your cells respond to vibration long before they respond to medication. So how do you start listening to your vibration before the body cries for help? You begin by feeling. Place your hand over your chest. Breathe slowly. Let your attention rest just beneath the skin, as if you're tuning in to a quiet radio signal. Ask yourself, not with words, but with awareness, what's alive in me right now? Your body speaks in tension, in heat, in restlessness. These aren't annoyances. They're language. The field is always speaking, it's just quieter than the noise of your thoughts. The more you learn to feel without judgment, the more you'll notice. Shifts in your energy often come before shifts in your health. And that's the key. Don't wait for the crisis. Reorganize the frequency while it still whispers. Because when your field begins to harmonize, the body follows like a river returning to its source. Sometimes, the pain doesn't come from what's happening now, it comes from what never had the chance to fully leave. You've probably had moments like this. Someone says something small, and suddenly your chest tightens. A scent, a song, a silence, and out of nowhere you're spiraling. Your mind tells you it's no big deal. But your body disagrees. That's not weakness. That's resonance. See, we've been told that trauma is about memory. But memory isn't just stored in the mind, it's etched into your energy. The body, as ancient mystics and modern physicists now agree, is an organized field of vibration. And when the foundation of that field is shaped by chaos, neglect, fear, betrayal, that chaos doesn't just fade when the event ends. It stays, as what I call a vibrational scar. You won't see it on an X-ray. You might not even notice it most days. But it's there, pulling certain people into your orbit, causing your breath to catch in crowded rooms, making your nervous system overreact to things that shouldn't matter. That's why healing emotional trauma naturally isn't about letting it go. It's about letting it speak. And when you start listening, you realize every overreaction is a breadcrumb. Every shutdown is a signal, not of weakness, but of a wound still echoing, waiting to be witnessed. The field remembers what the mind forgets. And sometimes, those memories aren't just events, they're frequencies. A child ignored learns to contract their energy. A teenager betrayed learns to vibrate with distrust. An adult abandoned learns to expect loss. These aren't conscious choices. They're adaptations. Brilliant ones, actually. Your field did what it had to do to keep you safe. But what kept you safe then may be what's keeping you stuck now. So when you find yourself triggered by something that seems small, pause. Ask not what's wrong with me, but what's still unhealed in me. Because trauma isn't a flaw. It's a frequency left unresolved. And when you stop blaming yourself for reacting too much, you begin the real work, reintegrating the parts of you that never felt safe enough to rest. You're not broken. You're just vibrating with echoes that need love, not logic. And when those echoes are finally met with presence, they begin to soften, to dissolve, to return to stillness. That's where healing starts, not in forgetting, but in reharmonizing. You may not hear it, but right now, you're sending out a signal. Not through your words, not through your actions, but through your vibration. Your mind, even when silent, is a constant broadcaster. Every thought you repeat, every unresolved belief, every background emotion is like a radio wave projecting into your field, shaping the atmosphere around you. It's why some rooms feel heavy even when no one is speaking. It's why you feel drained after talking to certain people, even if the conversation was polite. The truth is, your subconscious never stops speaking. You just haven't been taught to listen. And this is where anxiety often begins, not from what's happening, but from what's humming beneath. A looped thought you didn't catch. A fear that whispers just below awareness. A frequency that's been playing so long, you forgot it was even there. Stress is not random. It's often a buildup of misaligned signals you've been emitting without realizing. But here's the power in that. If you are the broadcaster, then you can change the frequency. And the first step is simple but not easy. Stillness, not numbing, not escaping, but becoming quiet enough to actually hear what you're sending out. You can try this right now. Sit still for just 1 minute. No fixing, no judging, just listen inwardly. What's the quality of your inner space? What is your body broadcasting right now? You may feel tension. You may feel a buzz in your chest. You may hear mental noise. Good. That means you're tuning in. Because you can't change a broadcast you haven't yet heard. This is the foundation of vibrational self-healing, not positive thinking, but signal awareness. When you learn to catch the hidden frequencies you've been emitting, fear, lack, guilt, you begin to realize how much of your world was reflecting not reality, but your field. And when you shift your inner broadcast, the outer world begins to follow. This isn't magic, it's resonance. It's one of the most painful questions to ask yourself. Why do I keep ending up in the same kind of relationship, the ones that drain me, break me, make me doubt my own worth? You swear you've learned. You set better boundaries. You journal, you meditate, you do the work. And still, the same cycle returns. Different face, same ache. But here's something most people never tell you. It's not because you're broken. It's not because you keep choosing wrong. It's because your field is still broadcasting familiar pain, and the universe, in its infinite neutrality, keeps matching it. Your vibrational field isn't just a personal force, it's a magnet. And it's not tuned to what you want. It's tuned to what you know. If your subconscious has been shaped by abandonment, betrayal, emotional neglect, those frequencies become your emotional home base. You might hate it, you might run from it, but energy doesn't respond to avoidance, it responds to resonance. So even when you're consciously choosing better, your field might still be saying, "This is the kind of love I recognize. This is what feels normal." That's why healing isn't just about cutting ties with toxic people. It's about shifting your internal frequency so that those ties no longer form in the first place. It's about becoming energetically unavailable for pain that once felt inevitable. This doesn't mean you failed. It means your healing is deeper than a surface change. You're not going in circles, you're spiraling inward toward the root. If you've ever asked, "Why am I still attracting this?" the answer might be, because your field still expects it. But that's not the end of the story. When you begin to raise your vibrational set point through presence, through grief work, through choosing joy even when it feels foreign, your field begins to reorganize. You'll start noticing that old patterns don't stick, old triggers don't pull you in. You may even feel bored by the drama you once craved. And that's not loss. That's transformation. So if you're loving yourself better but still feeling stuck, please know, you're not doing it wrong. You're just realigning something that's been echoing for years. And soon, as your field shifts, your reality will too. You think you're choosing, that's the great illusion. You choose your job, your partner, your beliefs. You wake up each day thinking you're the one behind the wheel. But what if you're not? What if the path you keep walking was paved long before you were aware you had feet? Let's go back, before you had language, before you had logic. When your brain was still soft clay, absorbing the world like gospel. Every look of disapproval, every withheld hug, every moment you felt unsafe or unseen, it didn't just happen. It wired you. By the age of 7, most of your subconscious programming is complete. From there, you don't really choose, you replicate. Again and again. That's why, even as an adult, you may find yourself saying yes when you mean no. Trusting those who exploit, chasing what never stays. Because deep inside, your nervous system has mistaken familiar for safe. It's not your fault. You were given a script before you knew how to read it. And that script runs your choices. The belief that I have to earn love becomes people-pleasing. I'm not safe when I speak up becomes silence. I'll be left if I'm honest becomes masks you wear too long. It's not logic. It's code, emotional code. But here, where power returns, all code can be rewritten. And the first step is recognizing when you're not choosing. That moment you feel pulled into the same reaction, the same spiral, the same regret, you pause. You name it, you say, "This isn't me choosing. This is me repeating." Then you do something unexpected. You say no instead of yes. You stay instead of flee. You question the voice in your head that sounds like your father's frustration or your mother's fear. That's called making the familiar strange. And it's the crack in the wall where light gets in. Try this. Pick one belief you suspect might be running the show, like, "I'm not enough unless I'm useful." For one day, act as if the opposite were true, just as an experiment. What opens up? This is not positive thinking. This is vibrational reprogramming. You're not trying to fix yourself. You're meeting the parts of you that were programmed in survival and giving them new instructions. That's how freedom begins, not in massive breakthroughs, but in quiet moments where you interrupt the automatic. Because the more you interrupt, the more you remember. You've always had the power to choose. You just needed to stop mistaking repetition for truth. Healing isn't about fixing what's broken. It's about remembering what's whole. You've probably felt it, that quiet ache behind your chest, that inexplicable fatigue, that rush of thoughts that won't stop, no matter how many affirmations you whisper. Maybe your sleep is shallow. Maybe joy feels distant. Maybe you cry and you don't know why. These are not flaws. These are not signs that you're failing. They're invitations. The body doesn't lie. It speaks in sighs, tightness, skipped beats, and sudden waves of sadness. It says, "Please come home." And home isn't a new version of you, it's the version that was always there, underneath the noise. Inner healing isn't a forward march. It's a soft turning inward, a slowing down, a return. It's not about raising your vibration, like climbing some invisible ladder. It's about sinking gently into the original frequency that was always yours before the world told you who to be. Think of it like a river, not a rapid chase to the ocean, but a steady journey back to the spring it came from. Healing is not about finding something new. It's about removing what never belonged. False beliefs, old stories, tension carried from generations you never met. You don't have to decode every trauma or dissect every emotion to begin. You only have to notice. When you feel a flutter of anxiety, pause. When you find yourself bracing, ask, what am I preparing for that isn't here now? These are signs not of failure, but of readiness. Because the moment you become aware of what needs healing is the moment healing begins. You are not a puzzle to solve. You are a frequency finding its way home. Let every uncomfortable feeling be a messenger. Let every pattern be a teacher. Let every breath be a bridge back to the truth that there is nothing wrong with you. You're just remembering. You're not lost, you're standing at a doorway. There comes a point quiet but unmistakable when listening is no longer enough. You've heard the call, you've felt the pull, and now your field is asking you to move. Not through effort, not through force, but through alignment. This is where you begin not with answers, but with presence. The ancient emerald tablets spoke in symbols, but at the heart of those teachings was a living map, a way to return to energetic clarity through simple but sacred acts. You don't need complex rituals or perfect posture. You need consistency. You need attention. You need breath. So here it is, your 3-step portal practice. Step 1, breathe into your center. Sit quietly. No music, no guidance, just you. Place your hands gently over your heart. Inhale for 4 counts. Hold for 4. Exhale for 4. Do this 10 times. As you breathe, imagine a light any color gathering in your chest. This is your central chakra tuning in. This is coherence. This is you dialing into your signal. Step 2, align the field. Now, bring awareness to the base of your spine. Feel it connected to the earth, rooted. Then move your awareness upward, chakra by chakra: pelvis, belly, heart, throat, third eye, crown. With each center, ask one quiet question. What is this space holding that I no longer need? Don't rush. Let answers arrive like ripples, not demands. Your job is not to force, but to witness. The witnessing is the clearing. Step 3, speak the code. Choose one sentence, just one. Let it be the opposite of your oldest wound. If your wound was, I am not enough, your code might be, I am rooted in divine sufficiency. Whisper it 3 times slowly. Not to convince yourself, but to imprint a new pattern. This is not mantra. This is declaration. And now, pause. Don't reach for your phone. Don't run to the next thing. Feel the shift even if it's subtle. That shift is the doorway opening. The more you do this not as routine, but as reverence, the more you reprogram not just your mind, but your field. And the field is where everything begins. You don't need to know how it will all unfold. You just need to step through. You've been taught to chase signs, to ask for clarity, to wait for a lightning strike of knowing. But real intuition doesn't crash through the door. It stands at the threshold, waiting for silence. You don't have to do more to hear it. You have to be less distracted. Begin here, right now. Bring your awareness to your chest, not your thoughts, your chest. That soft pressure, the warmth just behind your ribs, don't try to name it. Don't try to analyze, just feel. Now notice the space between thoughts. That breath before the next one arrives. That moment when your mind isn't sure what to say next. That's where it lives, your knowing. Not in the noise, in the pause. Intuition is not a thought, it's a vibration, a field language. The body feels it before the mind does. You feel it as a tug, a stillness, a gentle resistance when something is off even if everything looks fine. Or as a flutter of peace when something is right even if it makes no sense. The mistake is thinking you'll hear it like a voice. You won't. You'll sense it like a presence. That's why tuning your vibration matters. When your field is scattered, the signal gets lost. But when you're grounded, coherent, in harmony, intuition arrives effortlessly, like a ripple over still water, like a bell you didn't know was ringing until you stopped moving. This is not mystical, it's mechanical. It's the natural result of a field in alignment. So the next time you seek guidance, don't beg the universe for an answer. Don't scroll, search, analyze, just sit. Breathe, wait, feel. Let the quiet become your language. Because what you're looking for isn't missing. It's just waiting for you to get quiet enough to listen. Healing doesn't arrive like something foreign entering your life. It doesn't descend from the outside, and it doesn't require you to become someone new. It's a return to the original frequency already within you before the noise, before the fear, before the world told you who to be. This video found you not by accident, but because some part of you was ready to remember. And not just remember with your mind, but feel it in your field. You were never broken. You were only carrying signals that didn't belong to you. Now something shifts. Maybe small, maybe subtle, but it's real. You don't have to believe in any of this. You just have to pause and listen. Breathe into your center. Sit in that soft space between thoughts. Let your own vibration speak. You'll know when it begins. And when it does, you'll realize this truth. You were always the key. The field was always listening, and healing was never somewhere far away. It was always waiting for you to come home.